The backup quarterback career of Mac Jones started this weekend.
Congratulations to him.
Yes.
I mean, greatest job in sports. He should embrace that thing, man.
That is right. Traded to Jacksonville for a late-round pick.
Also, Kenny Pickett's began this morning.
Wow.
Well, I'm not sure about that only because of this. Because Russell Wilson is on a one-year prove-it deal, and the job might be Kenny Pickett's again in a year. Because
if he doesn't prove it,
if he does or he doesn't, because he's only there for 1 year, and he's there cheap, at least in part because he's here to prove to everybody that he still deserves one of those big contracts.
No, he's only there cheap because Denver's paying his salary.
Right.
I know.
He's getting the big contract.
I know,
but you're right.
But
Dan,
he's there cheap for Pittsburgh,
Right.
and he's playing in Pittsburgh. And that part's smart on all parties involved. Like, to me, that is a no-lose proposition, because can you be better than Mason Rudolph? And he's cheaper probably than Mason Rudolph.
I would say Russell has a lot to lose, also a lot to gain. This is a big moment and a big season coming up for Russell because he was in the Hall of Fame. He played his way out of the Hall of Fame in Denver, and now he has an opportunity to play his way back into the Hall of Fame with Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, or, Dan, he could solidify that he'll never make it to Canton if he is the quarterback for Mike Tomlin's first losing season. I mean,
wow.
It's a crossroads.
Well, if I know the Steelers, to go backtrack, it was, the Kenny Pickett backup thing was a joke, because if I know the Steelers, they are going to have a quarterback competition, and maybe they will have carry more weight to Russell Wilson given his age and experience than Kenny Pickett given his lack of experience and injury history, but they will act like it's a competition, whether it really is or it isn't.
I don't think when he signed that he was told anything other than he's the number one.
Right.
I don't think he goes there without the job.
Agreed.
That's why they will say it's a competition.
They're just going to pretend.
If I know the Steelers, they're going to say it's a competition.
I think the biggest risk is he doesn't play. I think Pickens plays this year because I don't see Russell Wilson playing 17 games.
Pickens better play.
Pickens is going to play. Pickett is the. But I do think that they announced that he's not good enough. We all saw that last year. But I think almost everyone listening to this, by consensus, and this is rare in sports, would just look at that overall deal and say, yep, good for everybody.
Yes.
Believe that is a positive thing that can work out for everybody and make everyone a little bit better. But that's how unimpressive Pickett was as the starter on that team, never throwing the ball downfield, never using Pickens correctly, because he's look, Russell Wilson can still throw the deep ball. Don't tell me he can't do that, because he can do that. And we've all seen him do that. We haven't seen Kenny Pickett do it.
They also had a offensive coordinator who was fired midway through the season last year, and it coincided with Pickett getting his ankle fractured. So he didn't really even get to play under a non-Matt Canada offensive coordinator. So, and then, of course, when they got into the playoffs, they kept going with Rudolph because he was the hot hand.
And he played well.
And he did play well,
Yeah.
but they hired a new offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, who's got a lot of experience running good offenses, even though might not have been the best head coach in Atlanta. So I think it's interesting.
You were very gentle there with Arthur. You were might not have been the best.
He wasn't. He wasn't a good head coach, but he was a good offensive coordinator before that. And I think it's a low risk. It's a low risk for the Steelers to sign Russell Wilson, have Denver cover the $38 million, however much it is.
Risk.
There's only upside. Yeah, there's only upside.
Exactly.
Pay the minimum.
We're doing a weird thing with Russell, though, where he had 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions last year. 26 touchdowns is 2 less than Tua. I mean,
fewer.
He didn't have a bad year. And people think that he's washed up.
The people who are analyzing that sport most closely are telling you that those numbers are a bit of a mirage, because those are the ones you keep pointing to,
Right.
and they're the only ones you keep pointing to.
That's all I got.
And if I give any starting quarterback in this league that kind of reps, that the way they play the sport now, you're going to come pretty close to getting that if I give you 16 or 17 games worth of reps. It's just you can't play in this league unless you're doing that at this point.
He had more touchdown passes last season, Russell Wilson did, than the Steelers have had over the last 2 years. as a team.
Yes, and you are correct that the Steeler offense have been bad, and most people are looking at some of what it is statistically that Russell Wilson has done and said, that's not that bad. But the people who are actually studying play-by-play stuff, the people who are scouting whether the DBs are doing the job.
Not just winging it.
They're not just, hey, I'm looking at these two numbers. The people who look at
I love to wing it,
slightly more than those two numbers are saying he was not anything other than mediocre last year. But